Hey y'all, welcome back to It Doesn't Have to Be Perfect with your host, Janine. Hi, I'm so glad you're here. Today's a really chill morning, not gonna lie. I had my workout in this morning. I had my chai latte this morning, and it's 9 a.m. I got up at 6 in the morning today. I took a melatonin last night to go to sleep early because I just love waking up early. And lately it's been kind of hard to do that unless I take a melatonin to go to sleep early. I went to sleep back at 10, which is pretty early. Because usually I will just kind of chill in bed and scroll on TikTok. The only time that I'm really just on TikTok is when I'm ending the day and I'm just scrolling at the end of the night. Because other than that, if I'm on TikTok throughout the day, it does feel like I'm just rotting my brain. And even though there are very informative sides to TikTok, that's not always the case. It's mostly just entertainment, which it's always a good escape. But I usually save that for the end of the night. And yeah, I just went to the gym this morning. I'm a big cardio girl. I love just walking or running. And so I did that for a little bit. And to my surprise, there wasn't too many people at the gym. And listen, I can be around other people at the gym, but it's just always so awkward because most people don't like making eye contact, especially kids my age. They just don't like acknowledging that someone else is there. They just look so awkward. I love just being a little wave, or just a nod and a head, but they're always so awkward about it. I'll do it and then they'll be panic, look down on my phone. Oh my God. I'm just dude, chill. I'm just trying to let you know, I don't know, it's a respect thing of we're both sharing a space. I acknowledge you. I know you're here. I don't know. It's probably something I picked up from my hometown because where I grew up, I lived in an area where there was a lot of retirees. And so we call them snowbirds. The snowbirds would just kind of stay here for the winter because it doesn't get that cold. And whenever I would see them out on walks or when I'd be running, they'd always wave. And even if you're in the car and you're driving, the speed limit was in a residential 25 miles per hour. So even when you're driving, they wave at you. And I think I'm just used to that, and I kind of crave that, I'm not gonna lie, because city life is pretty different than hometown vibes or small town vibes, because everyone is so independent in the city. Everyone's just doing their own thing, and honestly it does depend on the community, but currently it's just a thing that I think once we all get older and we all start craving that, I feel like it's going to be more common. It's one of those things that with age you seek for, and therefore your generation kind of catches up with that. But that's just a thought that I've had recently. Anyways, back to the main topic. Today I wanted to talk about playing make-believe. And not in playing Barbies and just, imagining a world that is non-existent and so delusional thinking that it's literally not going to be true. I'm talking more in the sense of, there was this quote recently that Miley Cyrus said in an interview, and she said, my mantra is like an athlete, perform. Wait, how did she say it? She said, my mantra is like an athlete, practice how you perform. That's why I practice in heels. And I thought that was so cool. I also heard this from Taylor Swift's interview about how for months she was just singing while running on the treadmill. Are you kidding me? That's how you prepared? That is so that is so legendary. And I don't have much experience as an athlete personally. Maybe I should consider myself an athlete because I've been running forever, but it's not I'm not doing marathons or anything crazy like that. I've always just been an active girly, but I mostly just started for, body anxieties, LOLs. But other than that, I don't know. I think I should consider myself an athlete, give myself a little bit of credit, but I can see how there are some people that obviously will use their athletic ability to get scholarships and go to colleges that they want to. I never got to that level, but it always something was like that stuck with me, and practice every day after school. That really just like showed me like the worth of consistency and being very consistent in your meal prepping and your hydration levels, and just practicing your breathing, practicing your stance, just practicing in the shoes that you're going to wear at the track meet. So I understand the preparation aspect to it, which for someone who is pretty impulsive, and I've been trying to change it up lately though, from going to calling myself impulsive to calling myself more adventurous, because I feel like I've put it on myself, this label, as a negative, with a negative connotation of you're impulsive, you don't think things through, you're just doing everything on a whim. And I like to consider myself not just like, no thoughts in the brain, just doing things out of the whim. I don't. I usually do things that I really want to do. And it's usually scary things. And people around me, are more thoughtful and will be like, well, you have to consider this and that. And I'm like, I did. But like at the end of the day, I want to do this thing. So I'm going to do it. And I want to do it. But, it's kind of like a balancing act. And I also do have to take in mind, like, what people around me that love me are trying to say. So, but yeah, I've just been trying to change that narrative for myself, because I am really judgmental with myself. And I just don't want to be like that anymore, because I'm a great person. I know that. But I also, can discredit myself and think that I'm a horrible person, or that I'm just like not doing enough. That's a totally different conversation. But yeah, so as someone that is a little more on the adventurous side, okay, remember we're using that term, I love doing things like recording a podcast when I haven't like necessarily practiced what I'm going to say. Like I have notes that I write down, or I'll write like a general script sometimes, but I do love just like getting on here and just doing the performance, doing the work, as you would say. And I usually find that it's a lot more, oh, hi, Nube. You want to be in the picture? Oh, you're so cute. You're a little rascal. But yeah, I really do think that, oh, I lost my train of thought, actually. My little kitty cat just wants attention. Dude, she's so annoying sometimes, though. Like, it'll be like 3 a.m, and she'll just be like, meow, meow, meow. She's looking at me right now. She's like, where's that coming from? Okay, where was I going with this? Right. Okay. Yeah. So like, I do love doing like improv, basically. I love just like getting on the spot and like doing what comes naturally, because sometimes if I think too hard about what I'm going to say, I feel like it doesn't come off as authentically as if when I do stuff like this, where I'm just like, I haven't really like necessarily practiced what I'm going to say. I know what I'm going to say and I'm going to say it, but I haven't necessarily like, had like a very rigid script and like rigid like memorization on stuff. I don't know. I think it just depends on person to person. In this case, I don't think it's necessarily very like necessary, I guess. I don't know. I do like the improv of it all, and the fact that I'm even doing it, like if this was me a year ago and like recording myself, I probably would have thought twice on it, because I would feel like I would need to do it perfectly, and I would need to have like a whole like script like right here that I could read off of, and that's just not always going to be realistic, because life just happens, opportunities just come, and sometimes you just have to do it a little bit scared and unprepared, which I love that saying. Like, I definitely stole that from TikTok. But it's true. Like, sometimes you just gotta go for it. Like, if I think too much on it, as people around me usually will try to, implement into my brain, I feel like I wouldn't get anything done because I would focus too much on the perfection of it. And I don't want to focus on the perfection. I just want to have an outcome, and I just want to be able to practice and keep doing this over and over again until I get really good at it. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes it doesn't have to be so perfect and structured. Sometimes you just have to get in the habit of doing the thing over and over again so that you get accustomed to performing that for yourself, for an audience, or whatever. I think that has been the greatest thing that I've done for myself, is just going for it. And yeah, I'm not always going to have perfect clips or perfect TikToks or perfect anything, but that's what this podcast is all about, really. Not just for like you guys, but for myself. It's just like getting into the habit of like doing the things and like not being so caught up on like, oh, I don't have the right camera, or oh, I don't have the right stencils, or oh, I don't have the right outfit, or I'm not the right weight, or I don't have enough money. And like, it's just, there's so many things that we can use as an excuse to not go for what we want. And trust me, it is so much easier to just stay in that comfort zone. But the only way you're going to get experience and the only way you're going to get practice is by actually doing the thing imperfectly. Like, I say this all the time. Kids will stumble and fall over and over again until they learn how to walk. And without all that stumbling and falling and tripping over, they're not going to learn how to walk if they never do that. So you have to have a lot of trial and error for yourself and allow yourself to have that space where you can make mistakes and, obviously take accountability for those mistakes, but you are allowed to make mistakes nonetheless. And I think that's something that, as a society, we are just very good at blaming ourselves and making ourselves feel so bad for making a mistake. And no, you have to act the part. You have to perform. You have to play. You have to play and find out. Okay? Just like kids, I love referring to kids in these metaphors because it's so true. That's a time where they really have no idea about rules or boundaries or what is going to look a little weird, because the kids around them are also just focused on themselves and what they're creating in the moment. You know what I'm saying? The kids are not judging other kids. They're just oh, who can I play with next? Or oh, who can build this sandcastle with me? That's what they're concerned about, And I think that is so cool. I think we have so much to learn from kids as, we get older, and then we kind of forget, especially if we're not around kids, we kind of forget what it's like to have that just fresh imagination, wondering, just having complete freedom to create whatever world you want around you. I would get literally pieces of stick or cloth and just run my imagination with it and, find ways to entertain myself and find ways to see what worked and see what didn't. But yeah, that's kind of the main message of, I would say, this podcast episode is just performing and practicing and being okay with that, being okay with the error, because at the end of the day, if you start practicing now, practicing what you want to become every day, you're going to be far more ahead than someone who decides not to do that for themselves and decides that they want to wait for the perfect moment. There is going to be no perfect moment to start something. Trust me, I've been there way too many times. And even when I was starting this podcast, I felt oh, I need to lose a little weight for photo shoots and do all these things. But no, no, the best thing that I did for myself is just starting and practicing and doing and making those mistakes, because that's all you can really do. especially when you think about the standard of like perfect, like what even is that? Like you might have an idea of what you think it is, but even even when you plan, like God is gonna laugh in your face if you believe in God. If not, then the Buddha will laugh in your face. I don't know, whatever you believe in, respect. But yeah, it's just like whatever you plan is probably not gonna go that way either way. But doesn't hurt to plan. But I would say just go for it and just do you. All right, I think that's going to be it for this podcast episode. Thank you so much for listening. And if you like what you heard, please follow. And if you really enjoyed this one, I would really appreciate it if you could give this a review on Spotify. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.